But on the subject of Impact, I wanted to mention this as well. They're going to be honoring Abyss as their newest inductee into the Impact Hall of Fame. It's been a while since we've had a new inductee into the Impact Hall of Fame. And they're going to be honoring Abyss, special ceremony at McHale's Bar and Grill in Midtown Manhattan the night before Bound for Glory. That's Saturday, October 13th. They've made a limited number of tickets available for this. I will be there. I actually bought my ticket to see Abyss be inducted. And since they're doing this at a bar, we can all get shit-faced afterwards. So to me, it was a win-win situation. You get to see somebody, one of the good guys get honored, and then you get to drink yourself into oblivion. But I was really happy when I heard that Abyss was being honored, because you talk about somebody who has been fiercely loyal to that company, okay, for so many years. The abuse that this guy puts his body through, stupidly, I think, in many cases, but the abuse that he takes, and if anybody deserves to be honored, I think, for their contributions to that company over the years, because there's a lot of people who jump ship. And I'm not just talking former WWE guys who came in for a payday, and then when the well ran dry, they hightailed it back to Vince McMahon. There were a lot of guys who were very loyal for a very long time to that company who reached their breaking point. Whatever their reasons were, creative differences, they weren't being paid, they could just see, like rats on a sinking ship, and they left. You can go down the list. AJ Styles, Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, Austin Aries, just on and on and on. And the one guy who stayed true to Impact, whether it be to his detriment or to his credit, that's, I guess that's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody has an opinion on that. But it was Abyss. Abyss never left. He's one of the TNA originals who is still there to this day. And, here's a guy who, by his own admission, a few years ago on Jim Ross's podcast, said that when his contract with TNA was coming up in 2006, Tommy Dreamer got conversations going between Abyss and WWE. They wanted to bring him in. There was interest from WWE in bringing this guy in, and I guess this wasn't set in stone or anything, but his understanding, or what he was told, was that the plan would have been not just to debut him and bring him in, but to debut him at the Royal Rumble in 2007 and then go on to work a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. And he backed out at the last second. I don't know if they had a verbal agreement or they thought they were going to, they were close to having an agreement, but apparently in the 11th hour, he got cold feet and backed out. Tommy Dreamer said that he got stage fright. Abyss said, no, it wasn't stage fright. It was more just out of loyalty to TNA. I felt a loyalty to this brand. And he thought, look, this is 2006 at the time. He thought TNA's in a good place. And he really wanted to be part of something new, of something special. And he thought that was the direction that TNA was headed in. I think a lot of people probably thought around 05, 06. Some people would even call those the golden years, the peak years of TNA. Others would say maybe it was, 2012. But that was his rationale for changing his mind, backing out, and staying in TNA. This guy gave up a WrestleMania match, quite possibly, with The Undertaker in front of 75,000 people to work for Dixie Carter. Instead, what happened? The Undertaker won the Royal Rumble that year, and he went on to beat Batista for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania in a pretty damn good match. But I doubt very many people would have turned down that opportunity. He did. Now again, was it smart? What a loyal guy. What a stupid guy. I don't know. He felt he made the decision that was right for him at the time. I guess they were paying him well, and he obviously liked the people that he worked with, and he was happy, and so, why ruin a good thing? But someone on my timeline suggested that they have Joseph Park do the induction. See, now that would be fun. How they would pull that off, I don't know. But that would be fun. Well, I guess as long as they're not in the same, they don't have to technically be in the same place at the same time. I think it should be Father James Mitchell doing the induction. But I was a big fan of the Joseph Park angle. You guys know that. One of my favorite segments they did with him was one of those backstage segments. I think it was when he met Sting for the very first time. And he goes over to Sting and he's like, I don't want to kayfabe you. He was always dropping these insider terms. I don't know, that whole thing, the whole gimmick was just a guilty pleasure of mine. He's a lot like their version of Kane, right? And not just in terms of all the times that he's returned, and he's got the mask, which is kind of similar. I always pegged him as a cross between Mankind and Kane. I wouldn't say a ripoff, because that's sort of an insult, but looks-wise, he was definitely a mix between Mankind and Kane. But he reminds me of Kane and how versatile he is, just in terms of what he can do for the company that he works for, right? So if they want him to be the monster and use thumbtacks and barbed wire, then he could be the monster. If they want him to do more comedy and be more of a comedic figure, or do things like the Joe Park stuff, he could do that too. He was a good little soldier who did whatever was asked of him. He gave the company the best years of his career, I think it's safe to say. And I think it's very cool that he'll have this moment for himself.